smell what the Rock is cooking. The Rock says, the Rock says, the Rock says, the Rock. They talk to me. You got your rules and no religion, all designed to keep you safe. But when rules start getting broken, you start questioning your faith. I have a voice that is my savior, hates to love and loves to hate. I have a voice that has the knowledge and the power to your fate. I hear voices crying, I see heroes dying, I taste blood that's trying, I feel tension rising. I hear voices in my head, they counsel me, they understand, they talk to me, they talk to me.
Hello and welcome for the first time to the NXT TakeOver Wrestling Talk Show for 2021 with Lisa Rock Jones and
John Randy Smith, as this Sunday on Valentine's Day we will have NXT TakeOver Vengeance Day.
this will be the first NXT TakeOver of 2021 and I believe the first pay-per-view event WWE have had on Valentine's Day since 1999.
When the last one was St. Valentine's Day Massacre.
So we have 5 matches, which is a typical number for a takeover card.
As we know, NXT TakeOver Vengeance Day will be taking place from the Capital Wrestling Centre once again due to COVID-19.
Capital Performance Centre, otherwise known as the PC.
The Performance Centre. So, match number 1 will be a triple threat match for the NXT Women's Championship as Io Shirai puts the top on the line against Toni Storm and Mercedes Martinez.
Don't you mean retaliation?
Yes, but when she was on Monday Night Raw with Retribution.
Yeah, so Toni Storm, after 8 months, returned to NXT on the 4th of October at NXT TakeOver 31. Following the Women's Championship match between Io Shirai and Candice LeRae. She would then go on to attack Ember Moon and turn heel and join Candice LeRae's team at War Games.
We don't need a William Regal War Games there, so we're good.
And then when it comes to Mercedes Martinez, after dropping out of Retribution
and rejoining NXT,
she returned to NXT on December 23rd, attacking the NXT Women's Champion. Setting up this as a triple threat match for the NXT Women's Championship. Now, considering that Io Shirai has been the NXT Women's Champion for 8 months since TakeOver in Your House back in June, I would say that there's a strong possibility we could be looking at a new champion here.
You reckon?
Just which one do you go for? And if Toni Storm wins, she becomes the first woman to have been the NXT UK Women's Champion and the NXT Champion.
And if Mercedes Martinez wins, it'll be her first Women's Championship, period.
And title in WWE.
Yes.
So now we go back to a annual event which has taken place in NXT since 2015 with the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic.
It's back once again for another year.
Except this year, they added a women's version of the match.
They have.
So we will run through the brackets for both of it, starting with the women's one, which started a few weeks ago on NXT. In the first round of matches, The Way of Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell defeated Cora Jade and Gigi Jillian Dawn.
And Gigi Dolan with the Ways, Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell picking up the win and advancing to the semi-finals.
They would go on to face in the semi-finals the winners of a match featuring Ember Moon and Shotzi Blackheart.
With Ember Moon and Shotzi Blackheart picking up the victory.
Over Marion Seifer and Zoe Stark, not to be confused with a certain Marvel character.
No. The next match we had in the quarterfinals was Katie Catanzaro and Kaden Carter, the Spitfire Warriors, taking on Mercedes Martinez and Toni Storm.
Yes, how convenient. Two people who we just mentioned in the triple threat match.
Yes.
In this.
Very convenient. With the Spitfire Warriors picking up the victory.
Which was kind of predictable because you weren't going to have Martinez and Storm in 2 matches.
No. Then in the final quarterfinals match, we had Aaliyah and Jessie Cameron of the Robert Stone brand taking on Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez, with Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez picking up the victory.
Then, over the past 2 weeks, on the February 3rd and last night's edition of NXT, we had the semi-final matches.
Yes, starting up with the first semi-final match being The Way of Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell taking on Ember Moon and Shotzi Blackheart, with spoilers if you haven't seen it, so if you haven't seen NXT, listen away now.
Ember Moon and Shotzi Blackheart picking up a victory, which may seem to some as a surprise, but when we tell you the other win, it might make a little bit more sense.
Then in the other semi-final match, Katie Catanzaro and Kaden Carter took on Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez, with Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez advancing to the final to face Ember Moon and Shotzi Blackheart. Yes,
and now with Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez winning their match, it kind of makes sense as to why The Way didn't win their match, because then it would have been heel versus heel, which is something that rarely happens.
Yes. So, as we said, the final match is between Shotzi Blackheart and Ember Moon against Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez. The winning women's tag team not only wins the first ever Women's Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic, but they'll get a future Women's Tag Team Championship match at any time.
Women's Tag Team Championships at the moment, as a result of the events of the Royal Rumble pre-show, are being held by Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler.
Yes.
On the men's side of the Dusty Rhodes Classic,
This is where things get interesting and weird.
we started things off with former NXT Tag Team Champions squaring off against each other, with the Undisputed Era of Adam Cole and Roderick Strong taking on Breezango.
With the Undisputed Era of Adam Cole and Roderick Strong picking up the 1, 2, 3.
Now here it gets a little bit iffy because we had the team of Tommaso Ciampa and Timothy Thatcher, who were not who were not even supposed to be in this tournament because they were replaced. Because Timothy Thatcher replaced Astrid London after a attack injury by Karrion Kross. In a, let's just say, kind of shocking move, Tommaso Ciampa and Timothy Thatcher picked up the victory against
Aya Davari and Tony Nese. In the next match, we would have Kushida and Leon Ruff taking on the way of the NXT North American Champion, Johnny Gargano, and Austin Theory.
And let's just say that this kind of plays into another match that we'll be talking about in a moment.
With Kushida and Leon Ruff picking up the victory.
Yeah. Then we had the Everrise of Chase Parker and Matt Martel taking on former NXT UK Tag Team Champions.
Grizzled young veterans
of James Drake and Zach Gibson, with the veterans picking up the victory.
Unsurprisingly. Then, in the next match, we have a young up-and-coming team of MSK, otherwise known as Rascals in Kingdom, taking on Jake Atlas and Isaiah Swerve Scott, with MSK picking up the victory.
Then we had the team of August Gray and Kurt Stallion taking on the, let's just say, how do we say this, dysfunctional workings of Drake Maverick and Killian Dane.
With Drake Maverick and Killian Dane picking up the victory.
In a guest appearance from the main roster, we had the Lucha House Party
taking on Imperium's Marcel Barthel and Fabian Eichler.
I would class as a slightly surprising move. The Lucha House Party picked up the win.
They did. And in the other match, we had the Bollywood boys of Samir and Sunil taking on Nagano Del Fantasma of Joaquin Wild and Raul Mendoza. With Nagano Del Fantasma picking up the 1, 2, 3.
Then in the second round of matches that set up
finals,
the Undisputed Era taking on Tommaso Ciampa and Timothy Thatcher.
The winners are advancing to the semi-finals was a shocking upset win for Timothy Thatcher and Tommaso Ciampa.
Yes, this seems to be that classic story of two rivals were sticking together as a tag team.
Yeah, pretty much.
Then the other quarter-final match to decide who would face fat-selling champion next was Peter and Liam Ruff against the Young Veterans.
With GYV picking up the win.
Then we had the MSK, Mascot and Wesley, taking on Drake Maverick and Killian Dane.
With MSK picking up the win.
And in the Battle of the Cruiserweights, Lucha House Party taking on Legado del Fantasma.
With Legado del Fantasma of Joaquin Wild and Raul Mendoza going through to the next round.
Which set up the semi-final matches of Tommaso Ciampa and Timothy Thatcher against the Grizzled Young Veterans.
With, spoiler alert if you haven't seen it, so again, listen away if you haven't seen it yet. With GYV picking up the win.
And advanced into the finals at Vengeance Day. And
the final match was between MSK and Legado del Fantasma of Joaquin Wild and Raul Mendoza, with MSK picking up the win.
which means that the finals taking place at TakeOver Vengeance Day will be MSK versus the Grizzled Young Veterans. And just like the women's, as has been the case since 2019, the winners of the men's Dusty Rhodes Classic will receive a future NXT Tag Team Championship match.
Which the titles are currently being held by Ollie Lorcan and Danny Burch.
And just like Tony Storm, this gives the Grizzled Young Veterans a chance to be the first team to have been UK Tag Team Champions and NXT Tag Team Champions.
Yes.
Speaking of championships, Pete Dunne seems to have had an issue with Finn Balor dating back to just after War Games.
Yes.
Pete Dunne, of course, teamed up with he who must not be named,
Yeah.
Pat McAfee,
What?
for War Games as a heel after managing to come back to TV after the start of a certain pandemic. And after Finn Balor's successful title match with Kyle O'Reilly for the second or third time,
Something like that.
Pete Dunne decides that he wants a title match and will get it at Vengeance Day. However, there is a third piece of a puzzle here that needs to be taken into account, and that is the choice which is yet to be made by the winner of the 2021 Royal Rumble match, rated as Superstar Edge, who made an appearance on NXT a few weeks ago.
Yes. But we highly doubt that Edge would go for the NXT Championship.
No, but he likes to keep all the champions on Edge. I mean, WWE established last year that the Royal Rumble winner could go after any championship.
Yeah.
But,
and the final match
well,
before
before we get to that, I'm actually surprised that this match is actually Finn Balor versus Pete Dunne when Karrion Kross, who had to vacate the NXT Championship just days after winning it, is back and has not even been mentioned in the NXT Championship picture.
Instead, it seems to be going after the NXT Cruiserweight Championship, currently being held by Santos Escobar.
Because there's a lot of people that when Finn Balor won the NXT Championship for the second time in 5 years, the vacancy thought that he would be a transitional champion.
Yes.
And yet, several months later, still managing to survive.
Yeah.
But the final match.
We're really surprised. We first thought that this match was pulled off the card.
Well, this whole thing kind of dates back to the early bit of the Dusty Rhodes Classic.
Yes.
With the leader of the way, Johnny Gargano, defending the North American Championship against Kushida.
It's Kushida.
And yes, a few days ago, it was Austin Theory posted a video saying that Johnny Gargano would not be defending the North American Championship at TakeOver. Then WWE said that due to injury that it wasn't going to be happening. But then things got a bit interesting last night on NXT.
Oh, yes.
When in a typical heel move, Johnny Gargano attacked Kushida in his match with Austin Theory.
Confirming the injury to be, in what we call in wrestling terms, a work.
And then Timothy Thatcher, of course, got involved in that little segment as well.
I thought it was Dexter Lumis.
Yes, oh yeah, it was Dexter Lumis too.
He's also had his issues with the way.
We all know that Gargano has not had the best of luck when it comes to successfully defending the championship.
No.
He managed to do it once.
Twice.
He's managed to do it at least once after winning the championship back at War Games.
And say the William Regal War Games screen there.
But can he hold on to a championship longer? Maybe. We'll find out in a couple of days.
On Valentine's Day.
So, that's the NXT TakeOver Vengeance Day. Bit of a weird name, but and we'll go through the matches one more time.
Kicking off with matches in no particular order, so this is not the final match up in this order. Io Shirai will defend her NXT Women's Championship against Toni Storm and Mercedes Martinez.
In the finals of the Women's Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic, Dakota Kai and Miguel Gonzalez take on Ember Moon and Shotzi Blackheart, with the winners receiving a future WWE Women's Tag Team Championship match.
In the final of the Men's Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic, MSK, Wesley and Nash Carter take on former NXT United Kingdom Tag Team Champions, the Grizzled Young Veterans, Zach Gibson and James Drake. Winners of that match will receive a future NXT Tag Team Championship match.
Finn Balor defends the NXT Championship against Pete Dunne.
And finally, Johnny Gargano, the leader of the Way, will defend his NXT North American Championship against Kushida.
Join us next week where we will bring you the reactions of NXT TakeOver Vengeance Day. And then we will also go back to the Rhodes to WrestleMania when it has its first pit stop.
Yes.
Until then,
he's been
Rhys Jones, and he's been
Sean Randy Smith, and we will see you next week for NXT TakeOver Vengeance Day post show.